Hello viewers, this is Ranjana ma'am and you are watching mine as well as your channel. So this time we are meeting after a long time. Some sad events in the house prevented me from going for any videos. 2 deaths in the family. So it took some time to come back to normalcy. So now as I had promised you all that I would provide you with some quotations from the Tempest. So here I am. So just wait and watch. Hello viewers. As I always remind you, if you have not subscribed to my channel up till now, please do. And don't forget to press the like button at the end of the video because I'm sure you'll like it. So in Act 1, Scene 2, right in the beginning, we find Miranda telling Prospero, "If by your art, my dearest father, you have put the wild waters in this roar, allay them." So this is these are the 2 lines which you can quote, because this gives you an idea about Miranda's soft, tender heart and also gives you an idea about Prospero and his magical powers. So, if by your art, my dearest father, till allay them. You can quote it. Many times you'll find whether you are asked to make a pen sketch of Miranda's character, then also you can give, because this shows that Miranda is perfectly aware of her father's magical potence and she is also a kind person. Then in Act 1, Scene 2 only, there is another line. Caliban says this, for I am all the subjects that you have, which first was mine own king. So here we find Caliban is quite annoyed with Prospero. So you can say like the colonial aggression. So Prospero has come and taken away the island from him. He was king on it and later Prospero came and then he took control over the island and Caliban has become a slave. So Caliban is naturally angry with Prospero. So he says, I am all the subjects that you have, which first was mine own king. So these are some, when sketching the character of Caliban, like once the character of Caliban had come, or if Caliban and Ariel are to be compared, or Prospero as a master, what are the feelings of his servants towards him. So different types of question, and while talking about Caliban you can write this. This shows how angry he is with Prospero. Of course there is a reason for Prospero's harshness. And then you will find in Act 1, Scene 2 again, when Caliban is reprimanded or scolded by Prospero, thou shalt be pinched as thick as honeycomb, each pinch more stinging than bees that made them. This is in Act 1, Scene 2. And after that, in the fag end of this scene only, Act 1, Scene 2, you will find Miranda saying, there is nothing ill can dwell in such a temple. So when she sees Ferdinand and she is impressed, and Prospero keeps on deliberately trying to tell her that no, he is a traitor, he has come to take away, he is a spy, he is a traitor, he has come to usurp my island and all that from me. Deliberately he is trying to misguide Miranda just to check how much they are really fallen for each other. So then Miranda says, there is nothing ill can dwell in such a temple. And another one, Ariel, when he meets Ferdinand, or rather he goes to Ferdinand invisible, the song which he sings, which makes Ferdinand feel that his father is dead. Full fathom 5 thy father lies, of his bones are coral made, those are pearls that were his eyes, nothing of him that doth fade, but doth suffer a sea change into something rich and strange. So Ariel as if also tries to misguide Ferdinand by telling, so he believes that this song, whoever is singing, is about me. Whoever is singing this song, he is trying to tell me that my father is dead and drowned and is lying in the seabed, and his eyes, so of his bones are coral made, those are pearls that were his eyes. So his eyes have turned into pearls, his bones have become like they have turned into coral, and yes, nothing has been really destroyed, they have just undergone a lot of change. So Ariel telling Ferdinand, he is invisible, Ferdinand cannot see, but Ferdinand feels that whoever is singing this song, this is related to my father. In Act 1, then in Act 2, Scene 1, we find Sebastian telling Alonso. Alonso finds that Gonzalo, Adrian and Francisco, they have fallen asleep suddenly, and then he also feels sleepy. So what does Sebastian tell him? Do not omit the heavy offer of it, that is sleep. It seldom visits sorrow. When it doth, it is a comforter. Yeah, so very rarely it is found that sleep comes to those people who are suffering on account of some sadness, something sad has happened in their life. So sleep normally eludes such people. But if sleep comes, then it is a real comforter. So accept the sleep. If it is coming, if sleep is offering to give you some relief, accept it, because it hardly visits a person who is sad. So, but when this sleep really comes to a sad person, it is a great comfort. Sebastian tells this to Alonso. Then again Antonio, here lies your brother no better than the earth he lies upon. So when does he say it? Remember, when Antonio is provoking Sebastian to commit regicide or to commit fratricide, that means the murder of his brother, he knows that in the same way he has usurped the dukedom of his brother. If he provokes Sebastian, Sebastian might yield to it, and for helping him in his objective, Antonio knows that he might get a reward for helping to make Sebastian the king. So he is pointing out to Alonso, who is lying on the ground fast asleep, and telling, here lies your brother no better than the earth he lies upon. So yeah, he looks like the earth, as dead as the earth on which he is sleeping. So your brother is sleeping on the earth just like the earth itself. And then another quotation which is important is Ariel, when Gonzalo, Alonso and Adrian Francisco, all these four are fast asleep, and Sebastian and Antonio, they are just on the verge of killing Gonzalo and Alonso. What happens? Ariel comes and he sings a song in the ears of Gonzalo to wake him up. So he tells Gonzalo in the song that he sings in his ear, if of life you keep a care, shake off slumber and beware, awake, awake. And it is this song which helps Gonzalo to wake up, and then he wakes up the king and the other two, and they survive. They escape the murder conspiracy. So you can quote this line, and Ariel had been sent by Prospero to keep a watch on these people. And Ariel, naturally, he realized that something wicked might be planned. So he had been around, invisible, and when he sees these two are about to kill Alonso and Gonzalo, he sings the song and wakes up Gonzalo. And after this, this line of Ferdinand, when he is forced to do the menial jobs by Prospero, when Prospero tries to test how serious he is regarding his feelings for Miranda, whether he is truly in love. He doesn't want that Ferdinand should consider it a light thing. If he gets Miranda too lightly without any effort, then he might not value her. So he wants to know whether he is really serious, how much he can do for the sake of Miranda. So he forces him to pile up the logs and all that. So Ferdinand, when he is doing this job in Act 3 Scene 1, so he says, there be some sports are painful, and their labor delight in them sets off. Some kinds of baseness are nobly undergone, and most poor matters point to rich ends. Yeah, some jobs, they might be painful, they might be quite mean jobs, but yet they might give you pleasure. Why? Because the end which they point to are rich. So why is he doing these menial jobs? It is for the sake of Miranda, because he is serious about Miranda, and that is why he is doing all this. Then another line where he says, and for your sake am I this patient logman. So imagine a prince becoming a patient logman for the sake of someone, means he is really serious. He is really serious about Miranda, and that is why he patiently carries the logs as ordered by Prospero. So these lines are quite good for quotation. And for your sake am I this patient logman. Then again you will find in Act 3 Scene 2, when these lower characters are under Caliban, I mean Stefano and Trinculo, they are trying to hatch a conspiracy. Actually, the main person in this conspiracy, the main conspirator is Caliban. Why? He wants to get rid of Prospero, and for this he tries to use Stefano and Trinculo by telling Stefano that you will become the master of this island, the king of this island, and you can get married to the daughter of Prospero, who is very beautiful. So when they hear someone singing, so Caliban assures Stefano and Trinculo, be not afeard, the isle is full of noises, sours and sweet airs that give delight and hurt not. More or less the whole paragraph is important. If you find it too difficult, you can quote these lines, only two will do. Be not afeard, full stop, the isle is full of noises, sours and sweet airs that give delight and hurt not. Or you can quote some other lines to show that this island is magical. Sometimes 1,000 twangling instruments will hum about mine ears, and sometimes voices that if I had waked after long sleep will make me sleep again. And then in dreaming the clouds methought would open and show riches ready to drop upon me, that when I waked I cried to dream again. So through this, Caliban is trying to assure them that you don't need to be afraid of the song. Even if you don't see anyone, don't be afraid, because this island is full of noises. There are sweet noises, there are sour noises, they give delight, they are not harmful, they don't hurt. And then he relates his own experiences. So this paragraph is important. If you find remembering the whole passage is difficult, you can quote the first two lines, that will do. But remember one thing, while quoting, you have to be very particular about the punctuations. The punctuations have to be there, otherwise it's not quotation. So be not afeard, full stop, the isle is full of noises, comma, sours and sweet airs that give delight and hurt not, full stop. And where it is in capital, you have to use the capital letters. Quotation means you exactly quote whatever has been said. And then in Act 4, Scene 1, this is a very important speech for quotation. After when the mask and the entertainment program was there, and suddenly Prospero came to know of the conspiracy, and then suddenly he brings the entertainment program to an end, and Ferdinand and Miranda are amazed. They had never seen, especially Miranda had never seen her father in such a mood. And then Ferdinand also wants to know. And then what does Prospero say? So this is a part of his speech. The cloud-capped towers, the gorgeous palaces, the solemn temples, the great globe itself, yea, all which it inherits shall dissolve, and like this insubstantial pageant, faded, leave not a rock behind. So this is life. Whatever is in it, life is an illusion. Nothing is real, and it will remain there appearing as real for some time, and then it will fade away. So nothing is permanent in this world. In the same way as the pageant which they were seeing, which they were enjoying, that Ceres and Juno and all that, and suddenly they all disappear. Why? They were spirits. But in the same way, all these cloud-capped towers, the royal palaces, the solemn temples, even the great earth, the great globe itself, and everything that is in this earth, they will dissolve. If not now, maybe hundreds or 200 or thousands of years later. So, and it will leave no trace behind. So this is quite an important passage for quotation. And then again Prospero, in this speech only, he continues, we are such stuff as dreams are made of, and our little life is rounded with a sleep. Yeah, so everything is an illusion. We are as if not real. We are like dreams. And our little life is rounded with a sleep. Yeah, our life comes to an end in death. Life is brief. And then in Act 5, Scene 1, this is very nice line for quotation. The rarer action in virtue is in virtue than in vengeance. So which is a rarer action? Virtue than in vengeance means it is better, the rarer action is in forgiving than in taking revenge. And then, oh wonder, Act 5, Scene 1, how many goodly creatures are there here? How beauteous mankind is. Oh brave new world that has such people in it. So while discussing the character of Miranda, you can quote these lines. Why? Because they show the innocence of Miranda, the naivety of Miranda, her innocence. So in trying to talk about Miranda's innocence, you can quote these lines. They will strengthen your answer. Oh wonder. So she doesn't remember the world of men, because when she had left that world and come to this island, she was just 3 years old. The only thing that she remembers are that 4 or 5 women attended upon her, and she has seen, or she remembers only Prospero and that ugly creature Caliban, misshapen creature Caliban. No wonder when she sees Ferdinand, she is head and heels over in love with him, head over heels in love with him. And Prospero says, oh, you think he is very handsome, but to the world he belongs, he is a Caliban, and other are really good looking. So, oh wonder, how many goodly creatures are there here, how beauteous mankind is. Oh brave new world that has such people in it. This is in Act 5, Scene 1. And then, yes, remember in Act 1, Scene 2, when Caliban is called by Prospero and he is being scolded, and Miranda is also very angry. She hates him. So what does he say? And he is reminded that how they had treated him nicely in the beginning, but what did he give in return? His wickedness. So he says, you taught me language and my profit on it. is, I know how to curse. The red plague rid you from learning me your language. So this shows the wickedness with which Caliban is composed. Caliban is out and out a devil. So these people had been good to him, and in return what did he do? He tried to rob the modesty of Prospero's daughter. So it is but natural that he will be cruel to him. He doesn't kill Miranda, which any other person would have done in anger. Why? Because he tells Miranda that we need someone to do the menial jobs, like fetching the piling the logs of wood and fetching water and lighting the fire and all that. For these jobs they need Caliban, and that is why Caliban has not been killed, but he is not allowed to enter the cave, and his movements also have been restricted. So Caliban is also naturally very angry, and he says, you taught me language and my profit on it is I know how to curse. The red plague rid you from learning me your language. So, and then later we find in Act 1 Scene 2 when Prospero is talking about his brother, that a brother should be so and all that. So yes, Antonio, he has been a traitor, he has been a treacherous fellow. So then Miranda says, good wombs have borne bad sons. This is one very potent line. Good wombs have borne bad sons. Yeah, the mother might have been good. The good parents also have many times given birth to wicked sons. It's not always that wicked sons are born to wicked parents only. Many times it has been seen. Yeah, one son may be very good and the other may be wicked. So that doesn't put the blame on the parents that they were wicked. That is why a son is wicked. So good wombs have borne bad sons. Then again, when these creatures come, and how the king, rather Sebastian, Antonio and the others, how do they react on seeing these spirits coming in the shape of strange creatures? So they say, hell is empty and all the devils are here. And then Prospero, this is another quite good line for quotation, when he is telling Miranda about what had happened in the past and how his brother had usurped his dukedom and what had led him to it. So he was very engrossed in his intellectual pursuits, and this gave Antonio the opportunity to usurp his dukedom. So he says, me poor man, my library was dukedom large enough. So in a self-pitying tone he says, yes, he didn't know what was happening outside. He did not know that Antonio was altering his own men and rather recreating them as his own loyal subjects. Those very people who were loyal to Prospero, Antonio was completely changing them. Some of them he was favoring, some of them whom he feared might pose a threat to him, those he was demoting, and some he was promoting, and he made them dance to his tune. And Prospero, poor fellow, he did not know anything. His library was dukedom large enough and he was engrossed in the study of the magical books. And then you will find another line good for quotation. This is again also from Prospero. Actually, Prospero is the most important character here. So he is rather the main protagonist and it is his story. So Prospero later, when Alonso is very sorry, he feels repentant and all this. So Prospero says, let us not burden our remembrance with a heaviness that's gone. Yeah, so now he's forgiven them. He's forgiven his enemies. So he tells Alonso that let us not burden our remembrance with a heaviness that is gone. So the heaviness has already left us. So let us not again try to burden it with the remembrance of what had happened 12 years ago. And another line you will find, when he finds all his adversaries in his control, and he puts a magic charm on them. That harpy scene, Act 4, Scene 1. So, at this hour lies at my mercy all mine enemies. So, yes, Prospero, all powerful, the omnipotent. Normally we call God omnipotent, but here we find Prospero is all powerful at this moment. All his enemies are at his mercy. They have lost their thinking process, they have lost their powers of thinking. Their mind has as if become blank. Why? Prospero's magic has worked on them, and they are in such a condition that they might commit something drastic out of regret or guilt. Who are the three? Alonso, Sebastian and Antonio, especially Alonso, because he feels that he has been punished because of what he had done to Prospero and his daughter. So these are quite some quotations. I think if you learn them up, you might need them somewhere or the other, especially while framing the character of Prospero or Miranda. These quotations will be helpful. And Prospero, what type of master was he, or what was Caliban's opinion of Prospero, or why did Prospero have to be cruel to Caliban? Then you can quote Caliban's lines and tell that he was an out and out devil, and you quote his lines. So naturally Prospero had to be strict with Caliban. Earlier when he was in his dukedom, so he had ignored everything and it had resulted in the loss of his dukedom. So this time he needs to be very careful. He needs to keep his eye all around and notice what is happening, so that he doesn't land in trouble anymore. So I think you can learn these well, and they will be really of help while framing your answers, because remember, quotations are mandatory. It is a must in your ISC. And for the echoes and reverie, I'll come up with some more, though in the prose it is difficult to remember so much. So while writing your answers, you can quote short phrases. If you cannot remember big lines, you can just quote short phrases, 3 to 4 words, but they have to be exact. Poems is not so difficult. You can remember some line here and there, and since poems are brief also, not all are lengthy, so you wouldn't find it a problem. Anyway, bye for the time being. And one advice, since your exams are quite close, if it does take place, I don't know whether the exams will be really there, or like the 10 it will be cancelled, but still I am advising you all, stay very safe, keep on washing your hands, and don't go out unless needed. Bye, and don't forget to press the like button.